How to write an RFI in construction. Anything worth doing is worth doing the right way. So if you haven't learned the right way for writing RFIs, this is the video for you because we're not getting out of it. So we might as well do it right, and we might as well do it really well, actually. So everyone knows about RFIs, but do you know the best practices? Would you like a checklist that you can follow every time? If so, boy, are you in the right place? Because we're going to do that right now. Number one, clarity is key. Clearly state the information that you're looking for and use straightforward language to avoid any confusion. When I was first an engineer, don't tell anybody, I want to keep this a secret, but I was like, I wrote RFIs like I was like writing scriptures or something. I was like, and it came to pass, and thou, and thee, and thine, and like, I'm like, the project manager that called me into his office and was like, there's a simpler way to write these RFIs. Don't get too long-winded, don't make it poetic, and don't write it like you're writing scripture. Number two, provide context. People are not in your mind, so you need to shape the context, especially if the person that's going to answer the RFI isn't going to talk to you verbally or in person. Include project details and the context to help the recipient understand the request. The other thing I want to remind you of is like, just remember, like they're getting this is cold, right? They're looking at this and they don't know anything about it. And there is such a thing as context switching. So instead of them having to take 40 minutes to get into context, try and reduce that and really make it clear, really make it plain and provide the context. Three, use the standardized format and the templates that you have in your company. Don't go rogue, don't get off track when it comes to the formatting. Keep it in a consistent format so it's predictable so the recipient knows what they're getting. And don't forget things like the project name, the date, and other relevant identifiers like drawing locations or location on the project. Things like that. Be very, very disciplined and be respectful to the recipient. Number four, be specific. Clearly identify what you want and what you need and avoid vague or ambiguous language. Like don't send an RFI that's like, hey, give me more details on page such and such. Like the recipient will be like, what the heck? Like, go do your job, like read the drawings. One of the most oft repeated points of advice is to suggest an answer, right? If you already know what you're looking for, put that in the body of the RFI. And actually sometimes, put other options, hey, we're looking for this. This is our question. We suggest A, B, C, or D, right? Be very, very specific and do the work and make it easier on the designers. One of the things that nobody knows is that batching submittals and batching RFIs and chucking it over the wall to the designers is very inefficient on their end. And the more vague we are on our end, the more time we're wasting on theirs. And what you probably don't know is that your designers and your engineers are most of the time working weekends trying to support your job. So the simple, finish the drawings, badmouth them, they can do it, I'm not gonna do their work for them, that's not a really thoughtful and partnering comment. Make it easy, understand and see it from their point of view, know that they're doing their best, that they're doing a lot, they're probably dealing with multiple projects. Go ahead and ask for what you need and what you want. Number five, include the drawings and the documents and the sketches. If there's a reference, you want to reference that drawing, reference that specification, or even just attach that sketch. Make sure that they know exactly where to reference to complete their context, and they know where to anchor, and they also know where to answer, and we also know where to post the RFI. Number six, prioritize urgency. And I just love this one. Not only should you indicate if the RFI is time sensitive, not only should you list out deadlines, but we do not go batch a whole bunch of submittals or a whole bunch of RFIs and just chuck them over the wall. We want to level that out. One of the best things you can do, and I'll use submittals as an example, is don't just chuck them all over the wall. In your schedule, find a way to level those reviews of those key submittals in order, and for the extent possible, you will do this with RFIs. Make sure that you don't say, oh, everything tomorrow, right? Because then that's like the boy or girl who cried wolf, right? Make sure that the designers know when you need something back quickly, and make sure you don't abuse that privilege with things that are not. So clearly identify the urgency. And you know what I think is urgent? I spend a lot of time making these videos and jamming out and outlining them and spending time recording. We spend a lot of money. I think it's urgent to get this information out to the construction industry. So anytime you subscribe, like, or even share the video, I just want you to know that I love it. Here's the Taylor Swift art for you. I appreciate you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. That is so important to me. That's me being clear. Number 7, organize your RFI logically. Structure it with a clear introduction, the body of the actual RFI question, and the conclusion. And like I said before, please put in multiple options and help provide suggestions to make it easier on the recipient. Number 8, please use a formal tone. Please don't put things in there like your drawings suck or you did this or accusations or things like that. Keep it professional, keep it positive, and make sure that you're treating the recipient like a partner. Number 9, identify responsible parties. Clearly state who you're expecting to answer the question, who's responsible for that answer, and include contact details for follow-up if needed. Number 10, track and reference. Assign a unique identifier to each RFI. Your project management systems probably already do that. And reference any other previous communication, and when you're in meetings like the OAC, you can reference that specific information, and if you are clear with the data, you also know when it was submitted, when it's expected, and you can reference that for easy access so the recipient can respond to your request. Number 11, always review these for accuracy. I think it's a great practice to just have another engineer or one of your managers check the RFI before you submit it, especially if it's pretty critical and you need it back soon, right? So when you need a second set of eyes, please get it, but always double check before you send it. And when you're checking, make sure that everything you need to include is included. Look at it from the recipient's point of view. Is everything here that person needs to get into a full context? Number 12, before you send it, consider the impacts, right? So if this is going to be a major change with additional costs or schedule extensions, you need to talk to your project manager about that. And if it's still an RFI that needs to be sent, make sure that you're clear. Make sure that you're clear about the impacts inside the RFI and notify the owner and the designers, if applicable, in a separate communication channel. Number 13, request alternatives when necessary. Not only will you provide suggestions and alternatives, but you might ask them for multiple options and encourage collaboration and problem solving, right? If you send the RFI and then they're like, no, and I send it again and it's no, and send it again, we probably could have gotten around that by just asking for multiple options or suggesting them. Number 14, acknowledge receipt. Once you get it back, make sure that they know, hey, this is accepted, this is implementable, and we're good to go. Number 15, without pissing people off, you will definitely want to follow up and track RFIs, especially the ones that are about to impact work. And again, when you're in the OAC, when you're talking to the designers, especially in front of the owner, let them look good. And just from a data standpoint, say we need this for this so that we don't impact work, and make sure that we have a balanced approach to deadlines. Here are some tips to remember that I really think you'll enjoy. I'll leave you with 5. Number 1, and this is crucial, when your RFI comes back, and if it costs money, make sure pricing is approved before work happens, and you may also have to make sure pricing is approved before it's posted and distributed to the trades. Number 2, I want you to understand that a lot of RFIs are not good. Some of this should be a design well done in pre-construction is a design that will reduce the amount of RFIs that we have to create and track during construction. It's a whole lot more time efficient and cost effective to do it in design as a preventative measure in the constructability reviews than it is to write an RFI. It costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time to research and write them, to transmit them, to answer them, to receive them, to price them, and to implement them, and to absorb the variation that they cause. So I hope nobody's getting from this video that I think RFIs are good. I hope you don't have any, or I hope you have as few as possible. I'm just giving you tips for when you have to have them. Number 3, and I mentioned it before, but it gets its own number. Every change, every clarification creates variation. Do not underestimate how much of an impact these RFIs will cause. So the more we can reduce them, the more we can reduce their impact, the better off we will be. Number 4, remember, work doesn't happen when the RFI is answered. The RFI should be answered before the work should happen, meaning that the pace of RFIs being answered needs to pace when work should happen in a flow. And number 5, do not underestimate how hard it is for your trades to prepare for that RFI, to adapt to that RFI, to make changes to that RFI, or to order equipment, work, or do rework for that RFI. It doesn't just happen overnight. When I take people out to field engineering boot camps, we build 2 spot footings, and it takes 5 days for them to do the layout, the preparation, the material ordering, and to install the formwork to place those 2 footings. 4 days for a simple task. And that camp enables people to realize, wow, how hard is it to prepare for work? So don't just send out that RFI and expect it to be done tomorrow. And so I hope that you can get a really healthy perspective when it comes to RFIs. And I hope that you are better able to manage them and write them. And as a free gift in the description below, I'm going to leave you with a beautifully formatted checklist for when you're writing RFIs. And let me say this, if a pilot needs a checklist every time they take off, why don't you need a checklist every time you write an RFI? The answer is you could use one. It could make your life a whole lot easier. It could save you from a lot of problems. And it's beautiful, simple, and organized right there in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is basic information, but everyone needs to know it. On we go.